Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We get started this weekend.
Should offer a different perspective. Yeah.
The camera.
Sometimes we don't beat our head in the meeting.
I guess we can start with Stephen. You want to get started with land call?
Sure, I will deliver the land acknowledgement which we normally deliver, not normally, that we used to deliver. So we begin this meeting by acknowledging the land on which we gather. It's the traditional territory of the Hautenisaunas and the Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada treaties and is within the land protected by the dish with one spoon wampum agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of Indigenous peoples.
Declaration to address. Need a motion for something as presented. Give me some hands, Stephen.
Sorry, would you just yell me? That was
Sorry.
great.
Sorry, Jen.
Jen, Amy, okay.
Thank you.
And same for the approval of previous minutes.
Jen.
Jen, Amy, control. And first up, we have Brian. For the event committee update.
Okay, great. So thanks everyone. Just a couple of updates for you. First off, we had previously been meeting with the events committee as part of the board meeting because we didn't have a chair representing the events committee. Luckily, Karen has agreed to be the chair of the events committee for the time being. She is hoping that someone else that's more passionate about events might be interested.
Not unpassionate.
Not that you're not, of course.
Just passionate.
Yeah, so there is still opportunity if someone's interested in joining that committee or in chairing that committee from the board. I'm sure you could talk to Karen and she'd be willing to pass that along to you. But for now, we are going to be able to resume our regular events committee meetings with Karen as chair. So I am providing a couple of updates for you folks today on behalf of the events committee. So you should have a small 2-page handout that I provided. The first one, just basically an overview of the events committee's description and priorities, along with a listing of who the events committee members are for this year's events committee. So these are people who have confirmed that they're interested in participating in the committee this year. And as I said, it's always welcome for additional attendance from board members and above and beyond the folks that are listed here. But luckily we do have Jen and Karen representing the board at this committee, as well as Josh. And then the other thing I wanted to just give you guys an update about is the listing of events for the year and a couple of items that we can touch base on regarding that list. So you'll see that on your agenda. First up, coming up just in a couple of days, is our Black History Month programming. So this has been produced in partnership with Future Black Female and Black Owned 905. So we're going to have an art exhibit that will be happening at City Hall as well as at the library. There's going to be a bunch of other activities as well. A book club that the library is facilitating. There's going to be a variety show, a talent show that Future Black Female is hosting at Robertson Hall. And we're helping to compile all of the various programming that's happening throughout the downtown and be able to provide that all as a program or a package for people to check out throughout the month of February. After that, we will have our Go Green event coming up in May. The dates to be determined still. That's being headed up by Lindsay, our sustainability, streetscape and sustainability director. We also will be having Holy Festival again this year. Now there is some uncertainty as to whether we are going to be the lead organization for that or Folk Arts Center is going to be the lead organization for that. We were hoping to relocate the event to the Robertson Hall back parking lot area, but unfortunately right now we're waiting to see whether Folk Arts is going to have enough funding to take the lead on that event because they had requested additional funding from the city and it looks like they're not going to be successful in that request.
Were they still going to approach other cities? Is it St. Catharines the only city that funds folk arts and they look after all of Niagara? Am I correct with that?
It's a good question. I don't-
We are the only city that funds.
Correct, so do you, I know Brian's giving the presentation, but Robin, are you aware if they're gonna approach any other city in this region?
As far as their presentation, council, they were only focusing on St. Catharines.
So they only get funding from St. Catharines, they were only coming back to St. Catharines for additional funding, but they service the entire Niagara region and no other city funds them.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, thank you.
No problem. So if we don't end up transferring that event to Folk Arts Festival, we will be looking at determining a new location for the event downtown potentially. So if anyone has creative ideas or wants to brainstorm about relocating the event for Holy Festival, that's a challenge that we're going to be working on this year. We don't expect that the parking lot that we've used in the past is going to continue to be functional for this event. So that's why we were trying to reassess, move it to Folk Arts Festival, but now we're looking at potentially having to get creative on new event locations for that one. Any questions on that, or I'll just keep on? Yeah.
Just a quick question. I know that there was a parking lot and there was a reason why it had to be in a space like that. Because can it not be by locations of stores or what was the?
Yeah, there are some limitations because of the style of the event. They are throwing paint powder and the fire department is spraying a lot of water hoses. So there are potential challenges with locating it, in front of a storefront. You don't want the storefront to get blasted with paint or water or be disruptive to people entering or exiting the business.
Right.
So the parking lot proved effective because it was between the sides of two buildings. But unfortunately, the parking lot's not in good condition. There's a lot of large potholes. And it's privately owned. We don't have a commitment from the owner to continue being able to use the space, and it's also scheduled for development.
Now, would that one area, like that one empty corner on St. Paul and James, would that be an option or is that too small?
It may potentially be on the small side, and again, private ownership, so it's subject to availability and approval by the owner. So depending on what event would be happening there, they may or may not.
I will just jump into to say that lot is not very accessible. It's gravel and it's quite uneven, so there's some challenges with that.
Okay, and then it's privately owned, it's not like we could do something about that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and Orin, did you have?
Yeah, so the parking lot that they were using in the previous years, they're paying for that, correct?
I believe we had, Rachel, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, we, through a partnership with them, the fees will waive.
If I can recommend maybe the Meridian Center parking lot might not be a bad idea for that.
That is one that's on our short list. Yeah, thank you, Orin.
Lots of parking, easy access, easy cleanup. The trucks won't be in the way,
That would be a beautiful space.
Great, thank you.
okay?
Okay, I'll move on then to the next one on the list here is block party. So this is happening again, July. We've got it scheduled at this point for July 26th and 27th. Unless we hear anything from the city that they have some big event that's not been announced yet, that might conflict with that. We're hoping that those dates are going to be locked in at this point. Similar to the Holy Festival, but not quite as up in the air, we do have the potential to rearrange some of the locations for the stages or the layout of Block Party. We have had feedback in the past that the event is a little too spread out, and we have had a small amount of concerns about one of the stage locations on Queen Street. So again, if anyone has creative ideas or wants to be involved in brainstorming or discussing potential adjustments to the block party layout, that's something that we'll be doing at the events committee, and you're welcome to join in that conversation or provide feedback or ideas to me directly. Okay, so next up we have Busker Festival. This one we are producing in collaboration with a third party who's going to be the main event coordinator for this. So we are currently just waiting on getting a signed contract from them just to lock everything down, but that's currently scheduled for August 9th and 10th. They've got about 3 locations throughout the downtown. It's going to be, I believe the street closure would be St. Paul Street from Queen to Carlisle and James from St. Paul to King. So just that main T without including the East End. And they have a few different areas that they've identified. They would have a little bit of a busker area where they would be performing. as well as having some vendors, statue artists, chalk artists spread throughout the road closure area. As far as I know, everything's going smoothly with that, but I'll probably have more updates after I get the contract signed and we make sure that they're delivered. We have scheduled deliverables that contract is going to be required to deliver. So we'll be able to update you on the progress of those deliverables. Any questions on? Yeah.
So that would be the second event for street closures.
That's correct. Yeah. So far we've got Block Party and Busker Fest are confirmed street closures.
Okay.
And then we have, after that, Break and Wine Parade after party. So this one, in the past, we closed down James Street for this event. This year, we are looking at the Market Square as a potential location. So that would avoid a road closure, but that's not 100% locked in yet. And then lastly, Halloween, October 26th. We are expecting it's going to be similar to last year. However, we are pursuing a grant for that event and we're hoping to lean a little bit more into additional safety measures. I don't believe we're going to be looking at a road closure for it, but we have a lot of other ideas for how to improve safety for the event, which would potentially include costume crossing guards at key locations through the downtown, and as well as a safety kit that we're hoping to provide kids, you know, some dental floss, glow stick, whistle, these sorts of things that would help them be safe when they're going out trick-or-treating, things they could use on Halloween night as well. So that's kind of cool. Rachel is assisting me with the grant application from Hydro One. So we'll see how we're able to do on that front. We do need more budget for candy this year for Halloween. So I'll just throw that out there. Sponsorship for candy so that we can not run out as quickly this year. Seems to grow every year. So every year we increase the amount of candy, but the people increase as well. So we have to try to stay ahead of that.
Okay.
John?
I don't know if this is appropriate, but do we have any ability to get wholesale candy?
We did do outreach to grocery stores to see if we could get sponsorships, and we
For
did
sure,
get small
sponsorship,
sponsorships from grocery
100%.
stores. Yeah, they would generally give us gift cards and then we would use it to buy the candy that they had in store. So as far as wholesale, we would need to maybe have some kind of connection if someone has a connection.
Yeah, I'm just
Brian,
wondering.
look, I'm thinking of a couple I can think of now, and
Mhm.
also I can totally have a contact for free brushes and floss.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, if you have ideas and Karen has ideas, you guys are both on the events committee.
Yeah,
so
okay,
you
yeah,
bring
I'm
that
just
to next meeting.
wondering, like, I have absolutely no idea what the cost of wholesale Halloween candy is, but you know, with us having retail stores and restaurants, we do have distribution where it might be advantageous for us to do some of those things. It's just procuring the goods is usually done literally 6 months in advance. So if we were to procure Halloween candy, that might be literally something that's being done before March. So, yeah, I can give a little bit more thought to this, but it's just kind of stuck
Yeah,
on me
let's
right
get
now.
back with me.
Yeah, okay.
David?
And you brought up an interesting thing. Why don't we contact Hershey Canada? They are very, very civic minded, I know.
Okay.
About certain events, whether they donate to Canada or not, you know, certain events. Facetiously, I said, let's approach all the dentists. I have heard that Hershey Canada may be open to certain donations.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, David.
The
I'll see.
largest dental
we can follow
supplier
up on-
in North America.
I'm sorry?
Canadian. The largest dental supplier in Canada is actually in Niagara.
Oh,
Okay.
Do you know what the name of that is?
I may have been their marketing manager.
Okay, so we'll touch base. Okay, great. Yeah, but David, to your other point, we are gonna be in communication with potential dental offices for, you know, supplies or sponsorship as well.
good.
Okay, and that brings me to my last bullet point that I wanted to touch base on with the board is just in regards to sponsorships. So you'll find on the little package that I handed out, this little one pager. So this is intended just as a simple introductory way that you could potentially introduce the sponsorship opportunities to contacts that you might know. So on one side, it's got an overview of the various benefits of working with the Downtown Association on a project. And then on the reverse side, it has a listing of all of our signature events for the year. And at the bottom, there's, you know, a brief overview of the types of sponsorship opportunities that event would offer. So I printed off a bunch of these, so I'm hoping that each board member might take 5 or 6. You know, you can fold this up nice and clean to hand it to somebody or put it in somebody's mailbox, but obviously the most effective is gonna be a direct one-to-one conversation. So I'm happy to pursue any leads that board members are able to identify. So you don't have to do all the work, you just have to do that initial soft introduction kind of approach so that we're not necessarily cold calling everyone. A soft intro can be really helpful.
What sort of donation are you looking for, like? Dollar amounts?
So one thing, actually, that's a good question. One thing we did get feedback on from last year is that people were looking for the opportunity to sponsor at a lower dollar amount. Previously, our sponsorship started around $500 and then go up from there. You know, a stage or presenting sponsor might be somewhere from 3 to 5. For the block party, our presenting sponsorship is 10,000 that we've already have a commitment for from Davidson Delot, so that's very exciting. But we did introduce a lower sponsorship level, which is called a community sponsor. This is at $100 level.
Oh, that's fabulous.
So this makes it a little bit easier for, you know, for you to seek out somebody that you know that maybe is not gonna come in for a large dollar amount, but still wants to contribute to the event.
Yeah, but even to our businesses. Right, like if our business is.
Exactly, a small
like if
business
small
that doesn't
business
have a big
really-
budget, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, so
Okay.
either for small businesses or for individuals, the community partnership, $100, you know, they'll get a thank you, they'll be on our thank you list. And there'll be a printed poster that has all the thank yous on it, those sorts of things, so there's not as many perks as the higher sponsorship levels, but if someone just wants to just chip in and get acknowledged for that. Effort of chipping in, then that's why we have that level.
Do we have levels? here?
I will have a level, yeah, I have that, I don't have it here for you right now, but I can provide that probably by the next board
I
meeting.
think that's awesome.
Yeah,
Are we looking for the same kind of sponsorship for Halloween, like that kind of like, get your name on a candy bag or?
yes, definitely. Yes, Halloween candy sponsor would be one of the sponsors we're seeking, as well as an entertainment sponsor to pay for costume characters and whatnot.
And we do, sorry, Brian, do take in kind too. So for example, just to do a shout out, so Chardon and the Cash Group and Halloween Pro last year had a beautiful photo booth in front of Silver Spire, who was our haunted house. So 2 of our board members very hands-on involved with that event and made a huge success. So thank you both.
Awesome.
Great, thanks. That's a good point, Rachel. Yes, in-kind sponsorships also very helpful. And then lastly, we can also customize the sponsorship level or amount. So if someone has an idea for how they want to be involved and it's not necessarily something that's on our sponsorship list, that doesn't mean that we're not going to talk to them and see if we can accept their donation and work with them on their idea that they want. That's everything for me. Any other questions? Okay, so if you want to grab sponsorship handouts from me, they're available here. Please take a few at least. Thanks, everyone.
We can send them electronically too.
Yes, of course.
On to marketing then. Whose hand is it? Aggregate.
So just the biggest marketing update for us is going into the year, we decided to switch format of how our marketing and communications committee is going to meet. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we've held regular monthly meetings. We don't always find we need them, and there seems to be more success when we break off and do a one-on-one with somebody who has a particular knowledge base on something. So after meeting status weren't quite achieving what we were hoping to, we redefined our marketing and communications working group as a marketing and communications advisory group. So it's gives me the ability to seek out support more on a one-on-one basis instead of calling meetings that weren't really being too productive. As a result of that, there will also be reports that are available anytime. And what I've done to kind of close out the year is I finished up the year report. You guys would have received one at the AGM for all of marketing, and then there's an appendix to it that just finishes up in December. We brought some copies with you guys today, or they're online as well. And if you're interested in learning more about the marketing and communications advisory group, let me know. So the way I intend to run it is just to meet with anyone who's interested on a one-on-one basis, kind of understand how your strengths can help us and help guide us. And then there's regular emails to the group. And I do ad hoc meetings or one-on-one meetings as needed. So that's kind of the new structure for marketing communications for right now, just to play to see if it works a little better for us. In regards to just a quick rundown on what we are working on with marketing, again, you can see on the report, it goes from September to December. There's a lot of information, I'm not gonna go through it all, but just some of the highlights. One is gift cards. We launched gift cards at the AGM. It was a great success for us. We were able to sell about $5,000 worth. Over the holidays, we ended up selling $7,260 worth. And the gift we have,
Amazing.
yeah, it was very good.
Yeah,
So then,
that's really cool.
we will provide more information on how that's going to feature. We're currently working on a Valentine's Day promotion, that you'll have Black History Month promotion that you'll see rolling out soon, that allow us to take advantage of our gift cards and continue to promote them throughout the year. Another campaign I'd like to just kind of celebrate is our Ice Dogs campaign. This year, we sponsored the third period. Last year, we did the first period. We did a QR code in the arena, and we've seen so much success with it. We've already reached about 13,247 people as of the end of December. There's been several games already in January. We had about 1,200 businesses specifically commented on throughout different promotions we do, and we've had over like 900 people scan the QR code. So we're getting a lot of really great interaction with that promotion, and we've had a lot of additions to our social media accounts because of it and signing up to our newsletters. So it's a really great opportunity for us to work better with the Ice Dogs clients, customers, sports fans. But obviously I'm not a sports person. Just some things to note as well, for Out of the Cold, with the big thanks to Brian, we've been able to secure a $100 sponsorship from Costco. And we're currently waiting to hear back from another sponsorship opportunity that will help us continue to serve the community, which is great help. And a big thanks to Josh, who set us off this year, helping us serve New Year's Eve through Foodology. So really appreciate that. Everything else is really listed on your agenda. I don't want to go over it too much, but please pay attention to your emails. We're going to be sending out resources on how you can help share information about Black History Month and the Valentine's Day promotions coming up. We also have a folder set up, so anyone that's set up on the gift card, you have access to all your promo photos. You're free to grab, there's a copy in there. There's a lot of really helpful information to help you share that you accept the gift cards. And then I wanted to share something really exciting. I was reached out by the Buffalo Toronto Public Media, and they've invited me to join a committee of 20 people. It's a new committee they're launching to help build awareness of the PBS and NPR Media Communications Association, and just bring more awareness to those broadcasting elements and how we can work better to promote ourselves and promote other people throughout those channels. So I just thought that was kind of cool to share.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Any questions? You have a lot of reading to do. I'm taking lessons from Rachel.
Feeling treated.
Okay, I guess that's it. Rachel, didn't you need to check alter this one?
I do, apologies, so let's postpone the next update, the staff bonusing policy.
That was all. And then, since Baron's not here, updated financial, but Rachel, that's all you.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't have much because they just have the financials from November year to date, because we're currently in the wonderful time of audit season. So our Decembers won't come out for a little bit because we're tying up the loose ends for the end of the year and then getting audited at the same time, so it's fun. There's not a ton of stuff to really go through. I think most of you were able to receive a printed copy that was at the back. I mean, it's fairly easy to look at. So just I guess the quick things that I'll highlight is the income is a lot higher than we were anticipating, which is a positive. And that's primarily because we received some funding from grants, some of which were like 2 years old, but that's okay. They finally paid up. So that really helped boost our line this year. And then event revenue was quite high, along with sponsorship revenue, which is over $22,000. So huge kudos to staff on those things. And I think the majority, everything else is fairly self-explanatory in terms of the expenses. Some things are a little high, but those were approved through the year. For example, meetings, we had an additional expense there as we had to get a hybrid model up and going, but that was approved at the board level. And then the other one that is maybe a little high, the events are higher because we've got sponsorship revenue to pay off that, so that's why those are higher. And then the last one is probably just a little high is annual general meeting. And if you remember, that's because we technically had 2 last year, so that's why it's a bit high.
Question. So another, the total comes up to 10,000 from 141 to 151.
I'm just
But
looking,
another gross line of total income, so it's up about 10,000.
yes, so the levy, I don't know why the financial show this, but the levy is at the bottom of the expenses, so the levy is the 407, 496. And so the money here is all grants and sponsorships. Okay. So we had budgeted around 10,000. And honestly, it was from Canada Summer Jobs that we were budgeting, which is the one grant we didn't get. So it shows over budget 141,000 in income because of the additional sponsors and grants that we were able to obtain. We're just finally clearing them out of our system, so to speak.
So in other words, we're 10,000 over what we had budgeted.
No, we're 141,000 over.
The actual is 151.
Yes, we had budgeted 10,000 for income through grants.
Oh, I see, you're putting it into there, though. That's why your increase is 1,471%.
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Rachel, is there a place I can get a comprehensive list of the grants we've done?
Yes, I can provide that. And like I said, full disclosure, so the Canadian Urban Grant, that was, I think, 2022. But it's finally being paid off. And then there's a couple of other ones in here that are from previous years. So most of it is actually sponsorship revenue and event revenue, which is fantastic. Because that's a lot easier on staff time to obtain sometimes than actual grant.
Anything else on financial?
That's it, unless there's any questions.
One more question. I see we're spending about 7,000 on auditing fees. As you know, there are 3 categories of audits. Which one do we have?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I can look at it. I just got the audit documents in today. And I actually got a quote which is a bit lower. So before tax and before any other additional costs, it's around 5,000. So it should hopefully be a bit lower. It's just every now and then there's other additional costs, depending on how much work things do.
Because I don't think we need a full audit.
No, I don't, we're under the municipality, right? So under the municipal act, we have to be audited and we have to use the auditors of the city. So it's dictated to us.
No, that's fine. That's
Right, can I get a motion to accept the financials as presented then? In that case, Jen and Karen. In that case, we're gonna move on to streetscape and sustainability. And this is you.
I don't know if anyone recalls, but today was supposed to be the day that Lindsay was presenting a snapshot for streetscape and to kind of bring everyone up to speed, which kind of landed in the hanging basket issue that kind of arose at the end of last year. We didn't really have to do much with respect to managing that because it's a general line item on the budget. It's kind of like clumped in with all sorts of other things. So nothing was taken out of a line item on the budget. So we didn't have to change anything communicated to the city, which was great. So that's just something that can go back towards hanging baskets to ensure that we have them this year. Of course, it will take from the modular tree initiative, which was tabled quite some time ago. Lindsay did a fantastic little snapshot of streetscape and sustainability in the handout that was on the table over there today, if anyone was able to grab it. which does have, on the right-hand side at the top, our mission for 2024. You'll see the modular incubator trees is there as well. If anyone has questions about that, please let me know. Lindsay will be presenting, next month. She, ended up being approached to do, a bunch of other work, and I think it was with the city and whatnot. So she was not able to present this month. So this will definitely be helpful if anyone has additional questions with respect to streetscape. But also we've been, streetscape's been busy advocating for garbage downtown. The date has changed for the garbage workshop. I can't recall where it landed now. I'm sure Lindsay will let me know. I can't, do you happen to remember what the date was?
I don't believe it's been decided yet.
Exactly, right. I don't think it has, because there was another date and then it was paused. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. And then we were also advocating for the forestry department, busy presenting to council. These initiatives with respect to advocacy have not had any resolution thus far. Robin may have more to say, but with strong mayor powers, it's there's just different things that I don't maybe fully comprehend, but it would be a shame to in my humble opinion, to potentially lose our forestry department in the Garden City. So I'm really hoping for resolution there where the city can meet their budgetary goals while keeping our forestry department. And also too, which I don't think is on this handout. No, the very first meeting for streetscape and sustainability this year in 2024 is on February 12th at 10 a.m. If anyone would like the link sent to them, again, we're always looking for people to participate, especially as we really, this being the first meeting for 2024, will really firm up quite a bit of information and decisions for the year and a half in the future. But also Lindsay also may have a fantastic update with respect to either forestry or garbage. Yeah, I think that's, I don't think I'm forgetting anything else, but that is, I think that's about it, if anybody has any questions.
I got David and I Richard.
Do I assume that our hanging baskets are in again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we found the 10,000?
No, it didn't have to be found, it was there, it was just like moved.
Well, kind of, but
It was through the streetscape and sustainability committee, it being allocated to other items. But similar to marketing, there's a line item that says this much to marketing, this much to streetscape and sustainability. And then the S&F committee typically would figure out where that gets distributed.
let's fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I do want to, though, you know, make it clear, like it was voted on to move that money towards modular, was it not? So it wasn't like just moved, like we voted, the board voted on that to say no to hanging baskets and yes to modular trees. So we didn't need to vote to put it back towards hanging baskets, because I don't think maybe people realized what they voted on for some reason. The money was just moved back because it's just the same line item either way.
I will say though, just for transparency sake, if we can just do a motion, sorry, Jen.
Yep.
Just because like you said, it was motioned on before when the full budget was approved. So just for transparency sake, if we can just do a quick motion. So in case we get questioned about what it is to
Correct.
move through the minutes.
Also make the motion.
No. Good motion. Any opposed?
I need a seconder, sorry.
Sure, secondary.
Should it be me?
No, I'm glad that it worked.
Amy,
Good.
And then, sorry, any
any
opposed?
opposed?
Let me just comment that I'm very pleased that it's back in. As Rachel knows that No, I think it's very, very important that it's just an added feature downtown that makes it look more beautiful. It's just that much nicer to attract people downtown, so.
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
Rachel?
Sorry, also, if we could, just for formality and transparency sake, also do a motion to approve the mission. I'm just gonna read it out. Just in case people haven't had time. Sorry. So the mission of the St. Catharines Downtown Association is to make downtown St. Catharines a better place to do business. The Built Environment plays a critical role in meeting this objective. Through the Streetscape and Sustainability Department, we advocate for sustainable economic development and activate our main streets with long-term greening and placemaking projects. Our goal within 50 years is to establish a blueprint for a vibrant, beautiful, and sustainable business district for generations to come. So if we could just have a motion, just for formality.
Isn't that a subcommittee mission?
It is a committee vision,
Should we be voting something?
so that the board is giving them approval to do what they're doing. I think we should. Just,
It's like a motherhood issue.
yeah,
So person.
On this, you're fine with that,
Well, it's the goals, what we want, yeah.
We did a little safer.
well, if you, I mean, the main points are long-term greening, right, and placemaking projects, so I think those are some of their focuses.
Sure. We just,
Yes.
they don't bind us to anything.
Yes, well, if we could do for formality and transparency, please.
All right, it's very well wishing.
Also move.
All right, David, can I get a second, please?
I'll say.
Second, Stephen, any opposed? Okay.
Perfect.
I do also maybe want to just quickly mention now that hanging baskets are in for this year. 2024, that the modular trees and / incubator trees will be coming back. This will be coming back around. We do have I mean, I don't even mean we with respect to streetscape and sustainability. The city has a very specific set of goals with respect to long-term greening initiatives and our strategic plan for the city, which if no one's read it, it's very interesting. It would actually help us as we're trying to come up with, vote on initiatives that when specific things like the modular and incubator trees, which are in alignment with the city's goals, that we kind of know what we're voting on in alignment with the city on certain things versus things that are being thrown away in 3 months or something like that. And also too, Josh is also tabling really incredible things like the flags and other things. So there'll be other things coming down the pipeline that are specific to hanging baskets again for 2024.
The city we're currently undergoing and finalizing our strategic plan, so don't apply yourself too much to the past one.
More so for the
It will
greening.
make some significant changes.
Sorry, that's fine. No. So just a quick update for everybody, forestry, so it did go as an amendment, at the last, budget meeting and was approved by council, so they have kept the full quota, I guess you could say, for forestry and will be.
Amazing.
So, yeah, really that's, and then the last point I wanted to make, sorry, is that, staff are currently working on a fundraising, / funding plan for beautification. So very similar to the great work that Brian has done with sponsorship for events. We are looking to mirror that for beautification, through initiatives like swag that we can sell, through other initiatives where we often get people pull up to say, I want to support a tree being planted downtown, or I want to make my downtown look pretty. So we're looking to create a fund that will help do that.
So just building on what Jen said over there with respect to the modular trees. You heard the feedback from the board, what the board is with respect to this year and the hanging baskets. So that maybe needs to be part of the thinking for next year. Maybe, the replacement of one for the other may not be as easily approved when it's discussed specifically. So maybe it's looking for additional funds for that. That's just a thought in terms of thinking about.
That's exactly what Rachel was mentioning, yeah.
So.
Right. I guess then we'll be moving into governance. Karen?
So excited. So we do have a motion on the table around, board responsibilities. So we were really looking at trying to grasp on what kind of a board are we? Are we merely an advisory board, or are we a board that gets their hands dirty and rolls up their sleeves? And we decided that yes, we are both. And so we put together this kind of table that I hope you've had a chance to take a look at. I don't know if you can pull that up, Pat, so we want to share on that screen. It is worth kind of going through. I mean, I'm sure that everybody has read it and taken a peek at it. But it specifically speaks to the fact that we would lead on vision and mission, budget and direction for ED and ensuring adherence to governance policies. We advise on staffing and HR and policy creation. And we support staff by, and this is the working piece of it, that each of us on the board sits on at least one committee. We collect and share feedback from our businesses and the public. We participate in a minimum of 2 events. We participate and support the staff with sponsorships and funding. We promote the St. Catharines Downtown Association. Some of these seem like they should be an obvious, yeah, of course that's what we do, but it's good to have it in writing. We communicate the events and the mission of the SCDA to the other members, we recruit volunteers and member involvements. There are some other possible things, like you need to attend a meeting, prepare and engage, lead meetings where you are asked or assigned, and then of course, some folks are required to sign checks and that kind of thing. So this is what we propose that we would like to adopt. It is not massively super binding, but I think it is a good commitment to be able to say, this is what it means to sit on this board, that you are, it is not a passive board of just showing up once a month and saying, yes, and here's my blessing on the financial statement. But we actually do participate, and this is how we participate. So if you guys are comfortable with that, I would love to get a mover and seconder, and then we can have any questions that you have. You so move?
I do.
Thank you, Jen. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Josh.
And I'd like to say how amazing that it is fantastic that you guys have put this together.
Thank you. We just thought it needed some clarity, right? How we feel. And perhaps, I guess we can put it to a vote if you're okay with that, Josh?
Anybody?
Just a little bit
Yeah.
of clarity, just for
Sure.
questions if possible. So, how are we going to, like, I know that some of the above that, like, you don't have accountability, but like, I mean, for someone that you're part of the board, you're part of a committee, I understand that, but also to, like, I mean, I walk around to different, how do I account? Like, do I have to say, hey, I've been here, can you sign this? Or just kind of acknowledge that this is what we do?
Acknowledge this is what we do,
Yeah.
right? And I think we have, if, especially since we all have different areas and in different sections, or if we have a section that isn't being seen to or visited, or we know that there, so-and-so might be having an issue with something, is there one of us, maybe David just volunteers, I know them, I'll love to go visit them and have a coffee and find out what's happening.
Okay, perfect. And then also to, for clarity, you want us to participate in some of these events?
Yeah,
Like 2 or like 1? Is there a specific?
ideally 2, I mean, it says minimum 2. Pretty clear on there, but we do have, 6, 7, sometimes more events every year. So I think being and attending any of them, I think is important. It's pretty hard to sit on a board and and advise have the events committee come up with something and say, oh, I don't know about that. Well, did you think about attendance? Like, it gives you credibility, I think, to be able to comment too. Does any questions over there, David? I thought I would him. Awesome.
If we're not necessarily able to stay for a half or a full event, is just say like, if I'm on the Halloween subcommittee and helping
Yeah.
supply candy.
There is no
So
SCDA.
this is all kind of like, just, it's how you're kind of involved, which is kind of subjective.
Absolutely.
So there's more than just like, say, a
Yeah.
weekend, right? Like, because the majority of these are on weekend. I'm away every weekend with my son traveling. So that is hard for me, but I can get my hands into like the involvement of
Yeah,
that. Is that what we're saying?
absolutely.
Okay, like filling bags. Okay.
Getting sponsors would be amazing.
And checking in with folks, and how did that go for you, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love doing it. I go often to the stores.
Even just talking to your neighbors and getting that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we wanted to stress the point that this isn't the kind of board where you just show up for a meeting a month, and that's the end of it. That it's a participatory board, and it is what you make of it.
So how about a board member that says, I can't fulfill that? Because at the beginning, when you signed up to be a board member, that wasn't part of it. So do they finish it, their board membership, or do you look for, or if you're like, hey, I can't get involved?
Yeah, I don't think even legally we could do something like that, but then also I think that this is a going forward, this is something we can say to somebody, and this is what it's about.
It's a good thing to aim for.
No, I think it's great, I just
Well,
want
I
to
think
clear
that
that
it's
that
more
might
like,
be
I think
fulfilled.
that it's a bit of an expectation,
Okay.
but it definitely is we don't grandfather people back on something and say, but it is something of going forward, this is what we're expecting.
Right, so like if you're gonna go for it, understand that it's not just a one board meeting a
Yes.
month.
And I don't think it ever has been.
That's how I was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just for me, for clarity, when I came in, that was pretty much the expectation was like one meeting a month, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but I'm just saying, I think a lot more people have that, what they had thought.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly the reason I wanted to lay it out.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
All right.
Any more questions, friends?
It's good.
All right, that's fine. In that case, go call for a vote. I can't see.
Oh, now we can revert.
Now I can see Kate. All right, any opposed? All right.
Excellent. The other piece of business that we have is, we don't want to come up with a vision all by ourselves, but we do need an updated vision. So we have 2 working sessions that we're going to offer. One is our next governance meeting, which is next February 5th, which is the Monday of the week.
Yeah.
Good. At 1:15, that's what it is in my calendar anyway. And it will be over at the offices at the DVA in the boardroom, and we'll have a working session for an hour or less, no more than an hour. And then we'll touch base with those who can't attend that and see if we can create another opportunity for folks to jump in on that. But I promise you, it will be fun, it will be short, it will be action packed. We'll have sticky notes. All right. My work is done.
Done. All right, in that case, we're gonna be moving on to advocacy. Rachel, is it you or Charlotte?
It's both of us. Charlene is the chair, but I didn't want to throw him under the bus without doing that. So I'll just do a really quick high level if that's okay with everyone. There's a lot of things. We've got a great advocacy committee. It's very active and lots of things we're working on. I think our 3, I'm not gonna remember them now because I couldn't look at them before. Our 3 main aims are to value the downtown. So we're gonna come up with the metrics to figure out and help us advocate for improvements and focusing on the downtown. And then we're also focusing on filling vacancies. And a third one, I totally forgot, but there's a third. And part of the those pieces too, there's often other random things that we do. So we just recently did a submission to the Ontario budget, which was focused very much, and I think I shared it with the committee, on the St. Catharines Downtown Association. It leaned, because I chaired the advocacy committee for OBIA, I stole basically a lot of in their submission and then added some additional ones that were more pertaining to St. Catharines. So that has been submitted through the channels and also shared with our local MP. And then the other piece that we're looking to work on is filling vacant 2nd story residential. So we're looking to create almost a subcommittee for that one. So if anybody is interested or impacted by that, please feel free to reach out. We haven't yet started that, but we are looking to shortly. And then Sharvin, I'm not sure if you want me to throw to you the stairs under the bus, stairs under the ranking bridge, or if you want me to take the lead on that one too.
Sure, I mean, you can take the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, we're trying to call like the awareness to the stairs that are under the Rankin pedestrian walkway. I'm sure you guys, since they're close there, you know what happens under the stairs. That lead to the front entrance of the Meridian Center. You guys ever park down below and walk through up to St. Paul? It's quite a bit of drug activity, and the harassment of tenants and businesses have definitely increased in the last 12 months tremendously. We're looking to get some support from the city. We haven't really been able to move the needle too much. So I wanted to bring it up at the meeting and see if there is, something we can do as a group, or maybe get some action items in place to try and see if we can get some movement to make, the alleyway a better place.
Why do you believe that it's the last 12 months that it's now? Do you think it's like weather, or do you like, or is it just a I don't know.
Great question. I mean, like, even, you know, under the bridge has been an issue for even first year I was here 20 years ago. We had meetings with the city. It's kind of a unique area where we've had some development, and the stairs that were kind of used as an access way to the below. It's a covered area. It's an area that kind of attracts people to kind of camp and stay there. It's a public area that the city kind of has taken from the private owners, and they use it as a public space. It runs right through several properties. And the last, I mean, we've had, you can just tell by the police calls or the amount of activity that's down there. I mean, our commercial tenants have definitely, Fiesta Empanada and Adams Flora have definitely had their fair share of challenges. Also in the alleyway, although it doesn't look like it, there's quite a few residential units that people call home. And those steps that you see on either side are front steps to people's units. And but in the last 12 months, we've had some serious stuff. I mean, there's been death, there's been tenants being hostilized, beat up. There's, I mean, this is a public meeting, I don't want to get too much into it, but there's definitely a lot of areas for improvement. And the city, you know, has a lot on their plate, and this area has not really been an area that they identify as something that they want to fix. So at this point, we're kind of, Adams Flora has been pretty open about their future in that spot. You know, the residents also are, no one is planning to stay. So if we want to do stuff that we're going to increase traffic downtown, we have to look at this space as a pretty big deterrent. I mean, I want to make one point. The Ice Dogs game, they do a great job of bringing a lot of different people down to our city. And my son, a few weeks ago, his school was nominated, as they do most games. They have a school come in, and they have to come a few hours early because of the free skate and that type of thing. So all the families park in the parking lots up top, and they walk through, and they have to go to the main entrance, because the main entrance for families is on the side of the building when they do free skates. So you have families that are walking through this alleyway. And I mean, there is anywhere from half a dozen people sitting there openly using drugs. And the look on faces of families, the mothers, the fathers that have to grab their children and walk through this area to one of the city's most largest infrastructures. It's just, as a guy who spends most of his time trying to bring people to our city, to invest in our city, we do so much work, all the people around this table, of trying to figure out how we can bring people to our city. And then we just have this unmanaged area that the city straight up refuses to do anything with. So I've asked to block it. I've asked to rearrange the stairwell so it's straight down the stairs from St. Paul. We've brought in all sorts of solutions. We've had many meetings over the years, probably 30 meetings with the city, not even joking, in the last 15 years. NRP, we've had, you name it, there's been meetings down there. So we're at the point now where something needs to be done. So
I would agree with you in that, because our school also got in, my daughter was singing in there, and parents were coming to me, being that they knew that I was downtown, that they went through that way, and there were some stories that I was mortified. I was like, no, come, like trying to give them a different way to go, which I think is unfortunate. But I haven't been down those stairs in a while, but now all of that is coming together, that what they had seen. That's sad.
Let me suggest that there's been a problem probably for 60 years, 70 years. BD stationary was on top, and it went underneath. I'm hearing, I'm not seeing myself, I'm hearing it's getting worse and worse and worse. Especially affecting the youth and young mothers that are taking their children to these events. Maybe we should look at just recommending to the city closing it, just not having
the stairwell,
a stairwell. Because it seems.
it's not
to
helping the
attract-
businesses either, though.
I'm sorry?
It's not helping the businesses and the
No,
people
it's
that
not.
are living there.
No, so we may consider recommending the city that they close it off totally.
I've walked through there several times. I've never even seen anyone under there when I've walked. But obviously, timing, I guess. But is there potentially any correlation with an increase, especially in these last number of months, with losing, just say, with the arena coming down? Or other services not being available or temporarily closed? I know some things have moved, the arena came down, which have shifted, like how certain things, obviously, just the functionality. I know that if I'm not mistaken, and anyone please correct me if I'm wrong, but when I used to, when Out of the Cold was at, when I used to volunteer at St. Alfred's, many people showered and took care of themselves too at the arena, which is now gone. That I didn't know if there was a correlation. Is that possible? Or do these people just have nowhere to go that's sheltered and now they're using that more so?
I mean, it surely doesn't help the situation. It has increased because, it used to be that when there was an issue, you could call the police and they would come and whoever was making the issue. Again, these are front steps of where people live. The NRP doesn't remove people. Really, there has to be a criminal activity, and using drugs openly is not a criminal activity. So the space, when the people come down there, they almost take ownership of the place. If you say to them, please, can you move? They said, no, this is public area, and if you try to remove me, you will be charged with harassment. So they're well versed, they're well educated, they know what to say, how to get out of it. But it doesn't, I myself, who's well versed with NRP, I know the numbers to call, I know what language to use, I have trouble getting people removed. There are people openly using drugs, but they're all also surrounded by stolen equipment. The stuff, to get into the details, but it's an area, and I'm very surprised you being across the street, but anytime I've gone down there, and we even had a meeting a few weeks ago, there was 4 or 5 people there. We're not bothered at all that we were sitting there talking about them.
Yeah.
And they're physical. My one tenant, his eyes were swollen shut for 3 days.
Wow.
He was being so bad.
I did have an individual.
Sorry, do you have?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Katie, you next.
Thanks. I feel like we need to consider that this is not a bridge issue. This is just like that just happens to be where it's visible. So I wonder if we think about engaging some of our community partners, like maybe Quest or Southridge or Casson, they might be able to offer some support here, because if it's a public area and they're not doing anything illegal, then they can't be removed and they shouldn't be. So I think it's maybe it's uncomfortable for kids to see, but and the safety is an issue, but how do you make it safe without demonizing their existence there? I think there's a way to do both.
I have Amy and Ron.
I think that they were saying that there has been an issue with violence, though. I'm assuming that is a threat,
Violence.
right? I understand the existence. I've walked down the streets and I don't feel uncomfortable, but if I were to get beaten up, that's pretty frightful. That's something that
Right.
no
But I
one
don't
can
think
do.
that's not unique to the bridge area, though. It's unfortunate that an incident's happened, but
But why are they being physical? maybe, I don't know, like, what's the question?
They're being physical, they're breaking into the doors, they're letting, we've had fires both inside and outside the building.
Wow.
Vandalism, I mean, the graffiti, I'm a bigger guy, they will not hesitate to get physical, I don't approach them aggressively, use the correct language. It's, you know, I'm not, if they were sitting there nicely, or if they were using a park bench like other people use public areas, that's a different thing, but, you know, whether this is a public space or not is even up for debate, because if they're sitting on steps that belong to property owners, and the tenants conduct their business and live there, it's not a public area, maybe the asphalt is, I mean, I don't know where you want to draw the line.
Yeah.
But, if we're here discussing the business, you know, if we're here talking about our downtown, how to grow business, this space is a direct reflection on how we're not going to grow business, because, you know, with 5,000 people coming to these events, every event, you're just, I mean, if we don't do something about it and continue, it's just going to negatively, why are we doing other things then?
But I think it's them not, like, getting them to be out of that space just means they'll be occupying another space.
Yeah, in front of my store.
Or, you're up next. Then I got Robin.
Like you said, it's 12 months, complete disaster. Human feces all over the place, people camping in front of my store, doing IV drugs. And we're talking about other things. I think we got bigger issues ahead of us, and people are not talking about it. Finally, he brings it up, and then we need to talk about something.
I think my point is
It's
that,
not
like,
going away. It's
yeah,
not going away.
that's an issue,
Not
but
going- We have a
moving-
problem.
just not seeing them is not the solution. It's like addressing why they're having it, like, their circumstances to begin with. Because it just
Well, for
moving
example,
is gonna help.
I came to the church today, I can clearly see there's a big difference. There's stuff all over the place, the front record on the walkway coming in. A person having a breakdown right at the front of the church.
She wasn't having a breakdown.
Well, there was something there.
No,
Can I request that we do not talk about specific?
yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. I will, case, next I have Karen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, if it is something of specific, if it is something that is legally not there, I think that's something for the NRP, not necessarily the Downtown Business Association. And I think that's a thing, being able to document something. I mean, I know you're talking to them, and I know you're having those conversations, I think, with the NRP, right? But I don't necessarily see where the Downtown Business Association could actually affect something like that. I'm just not sure.
Can't they advocate for the city to manage the space, just like they manage the firefighters parking lot, or just like they manage the other pedestrian walkways, or the library? They put fences up, they put signage up, they control the space to keep the destruction of property, the safety, the big things that we're talking about. You know, it's not for the Downtown Business Association to implement those. You're absolutely right. We're not police, and we're not government, but we represent the businesses downtown.
Absolutely.
And if you speak to any of the businesses that are near this space, they're frustrated, and none of them are wanting to grow their business. They're all looking on, how do I get away from this? So if we don't recognize that,
Yeah,
you know,
no, absolutely.
if we're willing to put fences for firefighters' cars, personal vehicles, people are losing their life, people are hospitalized, and people are losing their well-being through their businesses, including me. Why aren't we able to say that this is a problem, and as a group, stand up and say, city, this is a problem. We need to either manage it. There's security forces at Brock that if they move 3 inches, you know, there's ways that we can minimize the impacts. But the city has to say this is a problem, and we have to find a solution. You know, it's, at the end of the day, I mean, we can talk about, yeah, I don't think.
So when you meet with the, okay, so sorry.
I have Robin, Stephen,
No, I'm Rachel.
Just a couple of points of clarification, the pathway underneath has been, public access for centuries, over a century. It's not, the city didn't all of a sudden decide to take it over with regards to the Meridian Center. So I just need that to be clear. As David said, it's been an issue for decades.
not to this degree, though, I think police are
I
called.
think if you went,
several times a
I
day.
think if you were downtown in the eighties, you would have heard the exact same thing.
No, not to this extent, but 100%.
It's,
I don't think it was that rich.
okay, sorry,
Yeah, let's look at this.
everyone's had an opportunity to speak. I always give people opportunities to speak, so if you'd like to interrupt me, feel free, but I'm just gonna talk.
Go ahead.
So as Rachel knows, and others know, there is a task force that has been set up. It is a task force. It's a committee, right, between us and, downtown councilors, the CIO, the mayor, regional councilor, and regional staff. It isn't that the city isn't doing anything. I can't speak specifically about the, underneath the bridge because legal has now become involved. Because, it has, so without legal
You
permission.
gotta give the context though, Counselor, I mean, yes, the word litigation has been brought up as a last result. Excuse me, let me clarify. So, yes, we have brought up the word litigation, and this is after 15 years, many meetings. I sent a very nice letter to Robin and Caleb in August, they didn't even respond. 2 months after I was spent the 3 days in the hospital.
I have the email.
Would you please bring it up because, yeah,
Public setting.
anyways, okay, we can, I don't want to sell Robin's point.
Yeah. The issue of homelessness, the issue of addiction is citywide. I appreciate that the Downtown Association is experiencing a significant increase. So are the people who live in the north end. So are the people who live in Fairview. The reality is we do not have housing. We do not have supportive housing. We do not have anywhere for people to go who want to get help. That is a provincial problem. With regards to what the NRP does, I have had several meetings. Rachel has been in those meetings with the region. Inspector LaPlante has said flat out, the Crown will not prosecute. You cannot be prosecuted for simply sitting in a park.
So we're not asking to prosecute, we're asking just to block it off.
You wanna have, like, there to block it off.
You
and I'm
block off
not-
the right pedestrian walkway to go into the.
That's, but that's part of the Meridian Center.
You block off, the library.
The library hasn't been blocked off.
The
It
park.
gets locked up. The parking is accessible. We have people down there all the time. This isn't one bridge, as Katie said, and I appreciate it's very difficult. I appreciate it's very difficult. In a residential zone, I've had hundreds of people, like, I have people constantly calling me. We have Montebello Park that is full. I watch people do drugs in Montebello Park every single day. There is the issues that are surrounding what's happening are multi-level, and there is very little at the city level we can do. I do not have a say in what the NRP chooses to do. That is a regional issue. Officer LaPlante, Inspector LaPlante will tell you, the Crown will not prosecute. We do not have, like, they're not going to spend time, and nor is it illegal on public property to remove people.
If they're doing drugs.
Even if they're doing drugs, because the Crown is not gonna prosecute them, so we're not gonna arrest them. That's what Inspector LaPlante will say. The issues are, and I appreciate that they're very difficult, and I certainly appreciate they're happening in my neighborhood. So not only do I work and live downtown, I also, like, I'm part of it every day. And I appreciate the frustration. there are limited things that the city can do. The city, if you want to have a conversation about closing it up, I haven't been around for those. I have heard from city staff, what their thoughts are, and it is, as far as I know, a no-go because it's an access point to the Meridian Center. So that's something else. Again, can't really go into it because legal has become involved, whether you like it or not. This isn't an issue that is just downtown. This is affecting people across the city. And the city is doing its best along with the region. The shelter on Riordan will be opening in the next couple of weeks. The NRP and the core team have already said that once it is open, it will give them the opportunity to take people and encourage people who are on the street in front of businesses to go to the shelter, which will be 24/7. But, you know, you cannot make people do things they don't want to do. That is just a fact. So I appreciate that it's difficult. If you would like to advocate, have a meeting with the city to hear from the mayor, I'm happy to do that. Rachel can put that together, but there's not much I can say when it's happening across the city. And if we don't have supportive housing, if we don't have affordable units, a shelter is not a home. And yes, we have a shelter that is opening, but that is not meant for people to live in permanently. So until we have the other elements, this is going to continue to be a problem. So advocacy on the federal level, the provincial level, and the regional level is where you need to go.
Any idea if you know that, but Rachel, I'll be next.
So just on those quick points, so I'm very lucky to be part of the Downtown St. Catharines Safety and Wellbeing Committee with the region and city staff. So very appreciative for a seat at that table where I learn and provide feedback and give input. The one thing at the last meeting last week was very pushed really hard and clear was supportive housing. I feel personally the reason why we're seeing a huge influx in the last 12 months, if you look at the last 12 months, we have unfortunately a lot of housing that isn't appropriate housing. We've had two large housing units, if you want to pull them that, because I really wouldn't, burn down within the last couple of months that house probably 40 people in our downtown who now have nowhere to go. Not only that, but often the people you see on our streets aren't from the shelter. They have homes, it's just they're not appropriate homes. So when they want to go and socialize, the only place they can do it is in public areas. So I think those things are compounding, which is why we're seeing across our downtown, and especially under the bridge, if I'm fair, a huge increase in those challenges and those needs in those areas. So we are advocating often. I mean, we just did the submission to the Ontario budget where we pushed big time for supportive housing. Housing were our top two priorities actually in that submission. I also, as mentioned previously, sit on the advocacy committee for OBIA because I find the bigger the group, the stronger the voice. And when you're going to go provincial and federal, you need a provincial sounding voice. And as with one small city, we get lost a little bit. So I do find being part of that bigger collective, it is a louder voice. But I also encourage if any of you see individuals on the street where you don't feel they have a home, please call 211. It is the best resource out there, unfortunately. Well, fortunately that we've got it, but unfortunately it's not 24/7 response. But they can at least assign a caseworker to make sure those individuals are seen and hopefully housed. If you're not comfortable doing that, or if you feel it's not gone anywhere, please keep me in the loop. I also sit monthly on an outreach committee call with the city, where we do identify people and say, has this person been assigned? Is there support available for them? So please share those things with me so that I can then go back to the city and the region with that feedback.
Okay, for the last 3 points, all right, 4 points. Katie, Jen, Amy, and Stephen, keep it quick. I guess we still have to put the quite a bit still.
I feel like we do as a board have a place to be able to speak on this in terms of like, as a downtown association and as business owners, we see this more acutely than maybe other places in St. Catharines. But because of that, I think we have an opportunity to call on the different levels of government asking them to provide the resources necessary to help alleviate these problems instead of just making it less visible in our area. So I don't know if that's something advocacy could work on, is like if we have a resolution asking for supportive housing or for substance use support, that kind of stuff. It's not about that bridge, it's about what we can do, like, because we see it so all the time, we know where we need support, which is with housing, mental health, and substance use support. So I think we can do something, but it's just like redirecting our attention somewhere else.
Jen?
I really do want to say we are very close to the bridge, the Rankin Bridge. We have had violent encounters at our store. We have been able to manage those encounters very well by knowing individuals in our community, knowing many of these individuals by name, being able to assist new individuals that we recognize on helping them understand where services are. I can't even count how many times in 5 years already, just being able to point people to the Silver Spire or to the safe injection site. Many individuals that are new to our downtown that are coming off of the bus have no idea what is around service-wise for our city. Many of these people are looking for assistance. When we have, in the fall, we had a violent encounter of someone sitting in our doorwell. We have a little alcove at our store. We also have dogs who don't care what state these individuals are in and are bred and trained to guard, who are trying to potentially attack individuals because they feel threatened and are trying to protect individuals. We have a whole other set of circumstances. They have known, especially this one individual who was trying to attack us with a cane, that they had approximately 8 minutes until the police would show up, and they moved voluntarily at like 7 minutes and 58 seconds when they realized that the police were rounding the corner. Every time we have had to call the police, they have been exemplary. So I do want to stress that we have had tremendous success working with community partners. And I do totally agree with Katie. We as businesses are part of the solution. We're boots on the ground. We're living this every day, like Robin had also mentioned. And I feel one of the most important portions of that is our level of engagement and how open we're keeping our mind to come up with innovative solutions. Because if you leave St. Catharines and if you went to Hamilton, we have it easy here. We have it easy here in St. Catharines. We actually have services in our downtown that aren't 5 kilometers away where someone isn't going to walk. We have exceptional people like Karen and all people doing unbelievably angelic work every day. And they are literally half a block from our stores. But I'm being able to identify people and assist people by being engaged is how we become a part of the solution as well. It's just my 2 cents.
I guess my question is I wasn't aware, because it's not so much in my area, is why are they becoming aggressive? Like, I've had many interactions with the unhoused and I've never experienced that, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen because I have heard it and I do see it. I know personally that I have talked to a couple homes in Hamilton that house women, and I'm wondering, when I communicate with some of those ladies, they will not go into shelters. So as many shelters as you put out there for them, and that is definitely not the answer, they will not go in there. They would rather sleep in a tent and be cold and be asleep. I sat beside many of them at my church, and we allow them just to sleep because it's safe. So for me, I don't know that shelter, but I mean, where do you put community homes? I don't know where those are. I believe there's homes for abused ladies, but it's just getting them to know their worth And sometimes not having them right in the core is best, because typically anyone that has any sort of an addiction, what happens is that they will go back to their community that they know, right? And you feel the urge. So sometimes getting them out of a core into a safe spot where they can communicate with other men and women in different housing, that they understand their worth. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't understand right now why they're becoming aggressive. Is it because of the drugs? Is it because I don't know. And I also would say too, to be honest with you, is that I have no problem, you know, talking and speaking to the unhoused and loving on them, but I don't know that I'd want them to be sitting at my doorstep. Like if I'm fearful if they're being aggressive. So I'm kind of in between, like, I don't know where there is any help, but is there a place like the hospital is half empty? Is there a place where we can get like the women being safe? I don't know. Like, I don't have any education when it comes to that kind of
I
stuff.
don't think hurting people and popping them into a place is the answer.
Maybe do.
That people might want to.
Logistics, maybe one greater challenge, so we're more up to date. Maybe be able to
Yeah, we can put some stuff together.
Like, it's not just about somewhere to sleep.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff,
Oh, I
a lot of stuff
understand.
on the bridge, they're not there in the middle of the night. They're there during all the other hours. Because they have nowhere else to go to do those recreational things, because the place you sleep is not a place you can do drugs. But, you know, like, all the stuff you want to do, the real things of life, the drinking, the eating, the socializing, it's gotta happen somewhere. That's what's chosen. Last point to Stephen.
Like, this issue comes up every meeting. We spend an hour discussing it every meeting. If we're gonna have a place to vent about this problem, which is universal, I'm not demeaning the issue at all, not at all. However, I find it very difficult to listen to the stories at every meeting for now. And I do think if the role of the downtown association is to make the downtown a better place to do business, then we do have a role. But I think I don't know what that role is. And because we spend an hour talking about this every meeting, I think it is an issue that we do need to figure out a way to what do we do? Maybe what we do is only communicate. I don't know that. But I think this issue needs to be a priority for this organization. Not to fix it, but to somehow deal with the issues or the thoughts or whatever that's happening. It takes an hour of our monthly meetings. So I'd ask the executive, and I'm happy Karen's on the executive, but like I think there's thoughts here that are loving. But we've got to get a way to communicate those thoughts to the board members so that we're not dealing with this every an hour, every meeting. So if the executive could just think about how, and I think it's a communication issue rather than a doing issue. But communication could involve a variety of things. Rachel's on a group that meets regularly, that coordinates this kind of thought process. And there are others. So somehow I think our board needs to have communications that deal with these issues so that they're not part of this meeting every month. And it's got to meet the needs of our board members. So that would be I'd ask them, if at all possible, somebody or some group people, not organization, think about how we might structure a response to this.
Rachel, is it in our capacity to do some update on a monthly basis for like progress we're making? Or what at least we're advocating for?
Yes, I would hesitate to say progress we're making, because I'll be honest, systemic issues is not going to fix overnight, right? And unfortunately, it's not our purview to fix it, right? We're not in the housing business, we're not in, so we can definitely share advocacy pieces, but and maybe the executive team can help me brainstorm how to do that better. I did share, I believe last week, an email with summaries of the advocacy that we had been doing, especially with first and submissions to the budget. But maybe a video is better than a journal, so to speak, right? So maybe we can kind of brainstorm that off this meeting and figure the best way to communicate that.
In that case, Rachel, I'm gonna move on to the executive director update.
Yes, thank you. I don't have much. I did have down there their shelter warming station updates, just because that was kind of top of mind when I was doing up this agenda, if I'm honest with you. I don't have a ton of updates though with regard to that specifically. As Robin mentioned, the temporary shelter is going to be established and is in the process of currently being established at the Riordan lot. So I believe there are a couple weeks still out on that one. They were hoping for February 1st. But the nice thing about that, as Robin mentioned as well, is it will be a 24/7 shelter. That is what is currently missing, is especially on cold or wet days, people typically don't always have a place to go and congregate. So with that, they will. I'll just go back to the top of my report that I shared. So I met with some student housing owners last year, at the end of last year. So I'm excited for the relationships we can build there for cross promotional opportunities. We've got some museum walking tours again. We had a nice meeting with the museum. They were really excited to bring those back. They were a huge success and sold out last year. And we have people from Mississauga coming to them. So excited about that one. We're also working, Orphans work with Niagara Food Tours for our Go Green event to do a food tour. So some exciting things there. I've been on AM 610 a number of times, delegated to council a couple of times. We've got 2 interns in HR that are working with us through Niagara College. Our office sometimes is quite the hive of activity because we have I've lost track. I think Lindsay has like 20 students alone and Pat has a whole bunch of
Restarting the
3. And she's also got classes that are doing research and projects for her. So we're really excited for all the student support that we're getting. Yeah, the Canada Summer Job application was submitted. So we're waiting to hear back from that. And then just lastly, before the Christmas break, I met with the mayor and senior leadership team to continue to advocate for sports downtown, and they were very open to the conversation. That's me.
I guess, did we have a timeline on the 24/7 shelter?
It was supposed to be February 1st, but just a couple delays, so we're hoping to February.
Not just in time for spring, hopefully still in time for winter.
It will be within the next couple.
And just a reminder that to your site, they will be looking for a permanent site. They are, it's not they will, they are. Yes, very much are. And I will keep you abreast as and when I can. But not much to share.
I didn't get to catch on, but Lindsay did present to council.
She presented twice, yes.
How'd it go?
So the first time she presented was with regards to forestry, with regards to the amendment of the budget. So forestry, and she was one of many presenters, so was I. Her presentation was very well received by the audience. She was very good with her stats and her figures, and any questions, she had a lot of questions by councillors and was able to answer them very eloquently. And forestry is now kept in the budget and kept in-house. For now. And then her last delegation was with regards to garbage in the downtown, advocating for more attention to garbage pickup. It was unfortunately didn't get the budget. However, there was a garbage truck that was allocated and requested to the beaches, that it will also be included to cover the downtown. So that is a positive. And if I may, council have been, I know maybe the city doesn't work as quick or always the ways we want, but we are building our relationship with the city, and I'm quite grateful for the relationship that we do have with our councillors who have been quite supportive for things coming forward.
Agreed. So just the motion to accept the reports as presented for all previous stuff to be gentlemen. Yeah. David. All right, Rachel, can you go on to the Civic Square? So let's see, Stephen was there, I was there, Aaron was there.
Yeah.
And you were there. I was in You stay to the end.
Thank you.
Is this the one at the Market Square?
Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Or-
Like,
If
no,
you
no,
have
no,
any
like, is it
questions
the
about
one at the
the
Market
fair,
Square?
if you want to copy
With all
of
the
minutes tonight,
posters?
just let us know. It is still early stages of consultation. I'm sure there will be more public consultations coming as and when they happen.
Alright, in that case, unless anybody has anything else? Motion to approve?
Did you accept the report?
Yeah.
It's David. All right, motion to adjourn?
Oh, I can't.
All right. Yeah, well,